The key of being seen, heard, and understood. Most companies waste enormous amounts of money on marketing. We all know how mind numbing it is to spend precious dollars on a new marketing effort that gets no results. When we see the reports, we wonder what went wrong, or worse, whether our product is really as good as we thought it was. But what if the problem wasn't the product? What if the problem is the way we talk about the product? The problem is simple. The graphic artists and designers we're hiring to build our websites and brochures have degrees in design and know everything about Photoshop. But how many of them have read a single book about writing good sales copy? How many of them know how to clarify your message so customers listen? And worse, these companies are glad to take your money regardless of whether you see results or not. The fact is, pretty websites don't sell things. Words sell things. And if we haven't clarified our message, our customers won't listen. If we pay a lot of money to a design agency without first clarifying our message, we might as well be holding a bullhorn up to a monkey. The only thing a potential customer will hear is noise. Still, clarifying our message isn't easy. I had one client say that when he tried to do so, he felt like he was inside a bottle trying to read a label. I understand. Before I started StoryBrand, I was a writer and spent thousands of hours staring at a blank computer screen, wondering what to say. That soul-wrenching frustration led me to create a communication framework based on the proven power of story, and I swear it was like discovering a secret formula. The writing got easier and sold millions of books. After using the framework to create clear messages on my books, I used it to the filter of marketing and collateral in my own small company. Once we got clear, we doubled in revenue for 4 consecutive years. I now teach that framework to more than 3,000 businesses each year. Once they get their message straight, our clients create quality websites, incredible keynotes, emails that get opened, and sales letters people respond to. Why? Because nobody will listen to you if your message isn't clear, no matter how expensive your marketing material may be. At Story Brand, we've had clients double, triple, and even quadruple their revenue after they got one thing straight, their message. The Story Brand framework has been just as effective for billion-dollar brands as it has for mom and pop business, and just as powerful for American corporations as it has for those in Japan and Africa. Why? Because the human brain, no matter what region of the world it comes from, is drawn toward clarity and away from confusion. The reality is where the reality is we weren't just in a race to get our products to market. We're also in a race to communicate why our customers need those products in their lives. Even if we have the best product in the marketplace, we'll lose to an inferior product if our competitor's offer is communicated more clearly. So, what's your message? Can you say it easily? Is it simple, relevant, and repeatable? Can your entire team repeat your company's message in such a way that it is compelling? Have new hires been given talking points they can use to describe what a company offers and why every potential customer should buy it. How many sales are we missing out on because customers can figure out what our offer is within 5 seconds of visiting our website? Why so many business fail? To find out why so many marketing and branding attempts fail, I called my friend Mike McHargue. Mike, often called Science Mike because he hosts a successful podcast called Ask Science Mike, spent 15 years using science-based methodologies to help companies figure out how their customers think, specifically in the tech space. Sadly, he left advertising when a client asked him to create an algorithm predicting the associated buying habits of people with diabetes. Translation: they wanted him to sell junk foods to diabetes. Mike refused and left the industry. He's a good man, I quote, though, because he still has incredible insight as to how marketing, story, and behavior all blend together. At my request, Mike flew to Nashville to attend one of our workshops. After 2 days learning the story brand, At my request, Mike flew to Nashville to attend one of our workshops. After 2 days learning the StoryBrand 7-part framework, hereafter called the SB7 framework, we sat on my back porch and I grilled him with questions. Why does this formula work? What's happening in the brains of consumers as they encounter a message filtered through this formula? What's the science behind why brands like Apple and Coke, who intuitively use this formula, dominate the marketplace? There's a reason most marketing collateral doesn't work, Mike said, putting his feet up on a coffee table. Their marketing is too complicated. Their brain doesn't know how to process the information. The more simple and predictable the communication, the easier it is for the brain to digest. Story helps because it is a sense-making mechanism. Essentially, story formulas put everything in order so the brain doesn't have to work to understand what's going on. Mike went on to explain that among the millions of things the brain is good at, the overriding function of the brain is to help an individual survive and thrive. Everything the human brain does all day involves helping that person and the people that person cares about get ahead in life. Mike asked if I remembered that old pyramid we learned about in high school, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. First, he reminded me, the brain is tasked with setting up a system in which we can eat and drink and survive physically. In our modern first world economy, this means having a job and a dependable income. When the brain is concerned with safety, which might entail having a roof over our heads and sense of well-being and power that keeps us from being vulnerable. After food and shelter are taken care of, our brains start thinking about our relationships, which entail everything from reproducing in a sexual relationship to being nurtured in a romantic relationship to creating friendships, a tribe who will stick by us in case there are any social threats. Finally, then, the brain begins to concern itself with greater psychological, physiological, or even spiritual needs that gives us a sense of meaning. What Mike helped me understand is that, without us knowing it, human beings are constantly scanning their environments, even advertising for information that is going to help them meet their primitive need to survive. This means that when we ramble on and on about how we have the biggest manufacturing plant on the West Coast, our customers don't care. Why? Because that information isn't helping them to drink, eat, find a mate, fall in love, build a tribe, experience a deeper sense of meaning, or stockpile weapons in case barbarians start coming over the hill behind our cul-de-sac. So what do customers do when we blast a bunch of noise at them? They ignore us. And so right there on my back porch, Mike defined two critical mistakes brands make when they talk about their products and services. Mistake number one. The first mistake brands make is they fail to focus on the aspects of their offer that will help people survive and thrive. All great stories are about survival, either physical, emotional, relational, or spiritual. A story about a story about anything else won't work to captivate an audience. Nobody's interested. Nobody's interested. This means that if we position our products and services as anything but an aid in helping people survive, thrive, be accepted, find love, achieve an aspirational identity, or bond with a tribe that will defend them physically and socially, good luck selling anything to anybody. These are the only things people care about. We can take the truth to the bank or to bankruptcy court. Should we choose to ignore it is an undeniable fact. Mike said Mike said our brains constantly sorting through information and so we discard millions of unnecessary facts every day. If we cared to spend an hour in a giant ballroom, our brains would never think to count how many chairs are in the room. Meanwhile, we would always know where the exits are. Why? Because our brains don't need to know how many chairs there are in a room to survive, but knowing where the exits are would be helpful in case there was a fire. Without knowing it, the subconscious is always categorizing and organizing information, and when we talk publicly about our company's random backstory or internal goals, we're positioning ourselves as the chairs, not the exits. But this possess but this possesses a problem, Mike continued. Processing information demands that the brain burn calories, and the burning of too many calories acts against the brain's primary job to help us survive and thrive. Mistake number 2. The second mistake brands make is they cause their customers to burn too many calories in an effort to understand their offer. When having to process too much seemingly random information, people begin to ignore the sources of that useless information in an effort to conserve calories. In other words, there's a survival mechanism within our customer's brain that is designed to tune us out should we ever start confusing them. Imagine every time we talk about our products to potential customers, they have to start running on a treadmill. Literally, they have to jog the whole time we're talking. How long do you think they're going to pay attention? Not long. And yet, this is precisely what's happening. When we start our elevator pitch or keynote address, or when somebody visits our website, they're burning calories to process the information we're sharing. And if we don't say something and say something quickly, they can use to survive or thrive. They will tune us out. These two realities, the reality that people are looking for brands and can help them survive and thrive, and the reality that communication must be simple, explain why the SB7 framework has helped so many businesses increase their revenue. The key is to make your company's message about something that helps the customer survive and to do so in such a way that they can understand it without burning too many calories.